So good news, Hugo. Number one, I spent way too much money over the Valentine's weekend. But number two, Antonin Scalia died.
I did see that. That was on all the newses.
It was on every single news channel. Hardly anyone skipped it.
Yeah.
Which is good because that's their job.
Yeah, I mean, that's a guy who was against social progress for pretty much his entire career as a judge. I don't revel in the death of anyone, so my heart goes out to his family, and my congratulations go out to literally everyone else.
La 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 la. Here we go.
It's the Bible reloaded, the logic explosion, like Jesus and Moses, but it's Hugo and Jake. The Bible is jaded, and most of it taken, so get educated with Hugo and Jake. Pull up a new and stop what you're doing, it's Bible reloaded time. They call it debated, the theist will hate it, like talking to taken, but it's Hugo and Jake. So I'm with the show then, it's not candy coated, it's the Bible reloaded, with Hugo and Jake, with Hugo and Jake.
Hello everyone, I'm Hugo,
And I'm Jake.
and this is the Bible Reloaded.
We have returned to
Yes.
avenge the death of Antonin Scalia.
We'll avenge
haven't.
him by getting lots of people gay married and interpreting the Constitution through a modern lens.
I think that's what he would want.
I think so. That sounds like something he would want. Anyway, today we're here to finish Esther, which is good. We're finally almost done with that, and then we get to go on to Job next time, which we know anything about Job. That's going to be a lot of fun. But today we got to finish off Esther, and good news, lots of murder, lots of Jewy Jew murder. Not murdering Jews, but Jews are the ones doing the murdering. So, like, it's matzah-flavored murder.
So it's the same thing we've been reading for the last 274 pages.
Yeah, like that. Sure. So today we're beginning right before Esther chapter 9. There's only a couple verses before that, but that's how I'll say it, so you understand where we are. Are we on the same page, everyone? Good. I'm glad. I'm glad you can be here for this. I care about you all deeply.
Hugo, lover of the masses.
Yeah, it's alright. Triumph of the Jews. When Mordecai left the king's presence, he was wearing royal garments of blue and white, a large crown of gold and purple, and a robe of fine linen, and the city of Susa held a joyous celebration. For the Jews, it was a time of happiness and joy, gladness and honor. The only time in human history when the Jews as a group were very happy. In every province and in every city to which the edict of the king came, there was a joy and gladness among the Jews with feasting and celebrating, and many people of other nationalities became Jews because fear of the Jews had seized them.
Oh, that's a good heartwarming story. So how did you convert to Judaism? Well, funny story. Me and Jeremy, we had just gotten married, and then our entire town got ransacked by a tribe of mad Hebrews. And so they were like, we're going to kill you, or you can become a Jew. And so we had about 30 seconds to think about it, and Jeremy and I looked at each other, and we just thought, you know what, this is the right choice for us. We're gonna go Jew.
It's like a reverse Spanish Inquisition. I don't think Takamata would be happy about this.
Wow. That's a reference.
That's not that much of a reference. Mel Brooks made Takamata jokes before we were born. On the 13th day of the 12th month, the month of Adar, the edict commanded by the king was to be carried out. On this day, the enemies of the Jews had hoped to overpower them, but now the tables were turned, and the Jews got the upper hand over those who hated them. That's just a fun sentence. I don't know why, but the Jews got the upper hand over those who hated them. It excites me. Not like sexually, I'm just thrilled for the Jews.
I'm a little sexually excited, but I was daydreaming. It has nothing to do. I was thinking about Antonin Scalia.
That's going to be the theme throughout this episode, isn't it? We're just real happy about Scalia being dead, aren't we?
Well, I was thinking about him while he was alive. I'm not going to get into too much detail about what I was thinking about, but let's just say toes were licked.
I have so much disrespect for you. And the Constitution! The Jews assembled in their cities in all the provinces of King Xerxes to attack those determined to destroy them. No one could stand against them because the people of all the other nationalities were afraid of them. Don't know why. Just the threat of a Jew being angry is apparently enough to paralyze people at this point. I don't know why. Maybe they heard about, like, the Red Sea incident. That's
Finally?
Yeah.
It's been hundreds of years.
Hey, word travels very slow when you have to travel by camel. And all the nobles of the provinces, the satraps, the governors, and the king's administration helped the Jews because fear of Mordecai had seized them. Mordecai was prominent in the palace, his reputation spread throughout the provinces, and he became more and more powerful. This is like Game of Thrones, really Jewy Game of Thrones. One Jew got into the government and all of a sudden, like, he's seizing power.
Which one's the midget?
Still Peter Dinklage. He is legally the only midget that I am allowed to talk about.
We signed a weird deal.
Yeah, I don't know. People put pieces of paper in front of me and I sign them. It's pretty indiscriminate. I don't care about my own well-being. The Jews struck down all their enemies with the sword, killing and destroying them, so they did what they pleased to those who hated them. That had some implication behind it, but I'll let that one lie, and you take whatever you want out of that sentence. In the citadel of Susa, the Jews killed and destroyed 500 men. They also
destroyed 500 men?
Yeah, they didn't just kill them.
Blew them up?
Yep. Lots of TNT. They got some plastic explosives, utterly destroyed them. They also killed Parshadatha, Dulfun, Ashpatha,
It's not
Pathra,
Ash, obviously.
Adalia, Eridil. You get it. There's a lot of names. The 10 sons of Haman, son of Hamadatha, and the enemy of the Jews, but they did not lay their hands on the plunder. That's good. At least they left the plunder.
They're really bad at naming things.
They are. If you leave plunder, is it even plunder anymore? Then it's just stuff you left there. They're so used to not plundering things, they don't even realize that objects that aren't theirs aren't automatically plunder.
Yeah, that is a weird distinction.
Should we take the plunder? You mean their stuff?
It's only plunder after we take it, though. Like that's the.
But we always take it. I don't understand the distinction.
They're like pirates, but no eye patches.
Well, that's the best part. That's even the
point.
I
I
know.
know. Why would you even be a pirate if you couldn't be on a boat and have an eye patch?
I don't get it. I want to get scurvy. The numbers of those killed in the citadel of Susa was reported to the king the same day. The king said to Queen Esther, "The Jews have killed and destroyed 500 men and the 10 sons of Haman in the citadel of Susa. What have they done in the rest of the king's provinces? Now what is your petition? It will be given to you. What is your request? It will also be granted." "If it pleases the king," Esther answered, "give the Jews in Susa permission to carry out this day's edict tomorrow also, and let Haman's 10 sons be impaled on poles."
Wait, Esther was the hero like 3 minutes ago.
She was, but you get a little bit of heroing done, and then the next page you gotta talk about impaling people on poles, and you gotta murder people for several days in a row. You just gotta do it. It's
like Haman was an asshole, but I don't think Haman's sons deserve the impaling, right?
I don't know. It's just like Game of Thrones. One day you have a weird thing with your brother, and he's making you marry some weird horse riding people. The next day you're the mother of dragons. What are you gonna do?
Probably make a really shitty Terminator movie, and then dye your hair, and then let Jai Courtney talk.
Ugh, Jai Courtney. That's all I have to say about Jai Courtney. That's the only reaction you should have.
Ugh, someone Jai Courtney.
Disgusting. What a disgusting human being. Not because of his looks or anything, he's just that bad of an actor. So the king commanded that this be done, an edict was issued in Susa, and they impaled the 10 sons of Haman. The Jews in Susa came together on the 14th day of the month of Adar, and they put to death in Susa 300 men, but they did not lay their hands on the plunder. Again, if you don't lay your hands on the plunder, not plunder, just stuff you didn't steal. Meanwhile, the remainder of the Jews who were in the king's province also assembled to protect themselves and get relief from their enemies. They killed 75,000 of them, but did not lay their hands on the plunder. They're really focusing on this plunder. I have a feeling that when they did it, they weren't allowed to touch the plunder, but they were like, "Oh, but I really want to." That's what they were focused on. Murder, 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 but the eye is always on the plunder you don't get to take. And that's a lesson you need to learn, ancient Jews. You don't always get to take the plunder. Just be happy with the murder you're participating in. You don't have to focus on what you can't have. Enjoy the guts of your enemies that you're in right now. This happened on the 13th day of the month of Adar, and on the 14th they rested and made it a day of feasting and joy.
Do you think they ate those guts?
I don't know. Maybe because they were still focused on the plunder. They were probably like, "Oh, this is the closest to plunder we could get. We could take their body parts and eat them." Cannibal Jews.
Cannibal Jews?
Cannibal
well, no,
Jews.
we just wrote a screenplay, my friend.
I think so. We should write screenplays. We could be the next Wachowski siblings.
Yeah, I said brothers last time, and I didn't know I was supposed to be up to date on their sexual things going on.
Yeah,
because one of them's transgendered, and I didn't know.
Yeah, one of them.
Get off my back!
I don't know which one, Probably the one without a penis now. That is why rural Jews, those living in villages, observe the 14th of the month of Adar as a day of joy and feasting, a day for giving presents to each other. Sounds a little bit like a Jewy Christmas.
Seemed a little elitist. The rural Jews. Those that live in villages instead of our weird ancient high-rise city Jews.
Get their ancient bagels and stuff in ancient fake Jew New York.
Ancient fake Jew New York.
They just call it
Jew York. Oh fuck no. We're backing out of that.
I know.
I am not endorsing Jew York.
There's a very fine line between it's hard to talk about the Old Testament without coming off as somewhat anti-Semitic.
No, I'm not talking about the anti-Semitism involved. I'm saying it's a pun, and I will not abide.
Oh, okay. You're more worried about the puns than okay.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
That's reasonable. Mordecai recorded these events, and he sent letters to all the Jews throughout the provinces of King Xerxes, near and far. Wow, he must have had a very sore writing hand.
Maybe he was the first ballpoint, and he's like, wow, this is so much easier. And he just got into like a fit. And he's like, oh, accidentally wrote letters to all the Jews, every single one of them. Do you have any idea how many morts there are? I do. I wrote letters to each of them. 37. 37 morts.
It's less morts than I expected.
I know, right? That's why I was surprised. It wasn't like, holy shit, there's 1,000 morts. It's a stereotypically popular name, only 37 of them. They're just really loud.
To have them celebrate annually the 14th and 15th days of the month of Adar as the time when the Jews got relief from their enemies, and by relief they mean they got all up in their guts, cut them open, killed them dead, and as the month when their sorrow was turned into joy and their mourning into a day of celebration, he wrote them to observe the days as days of feasting and joy, giving presents of food to one another and gifts to the poor.
Gifts to the poor. Here's a severed head of my enemy.
We couldn't take the plunder. This is the closest we could get. So the Jews agreed to continue the celebration they had begun, doing what Mordecai had written to them. For Haman, son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the enemy of all the Jews, had plotted against the Jews to destroy them, and had cast the pur, that is, the lot, for the ruin and destruction.
He wasn't the enemy of all the Jews. He was just the enemy of Mordecai, and then by extension the Jews.
Yeah, but Mordecai takes things real personal.
Are the Jews the Borg?
In the Bible, yes, definitely. They're definitely the Borg, but Sandborg.
Sandborg?
They look like the Borg, but they just they tied
This
sticks.
feels racist too.
See, again, there's a very fine line. It has nothing to do with them being Jewish. It just so happens that they're the main characters in this part of the Bible. So we have to characterize them as one big group, and that comes off as racist, but it's not. I'm just calling them Sandborg.
I spit all over my Bible.
When the plot came to the king's attention, he issued written orders that the evil scheme Haman had devised against the Jews should come back onto his own head, and that he and his sons should be impaled on poles. Therefore, these days were called Purim, from the word pur. Because of
course.
Yeah.
Purim, the time we impaled some dude's kids.
Because of everything written in this letter, and because of what they had seen and what had happened to them, the Jews took it on themselves to establish the custom that they and their descendants and all those who join them should without fail observe these 2 days every year. These days should be remembered and observed in every generation by every family in every province and every city, and these, the days of Purim, should never fail to be celebrated by the Jews, nor should the memory of these days die out among their descendants. How does that holiday go when you're explaining it to kids?
How does Christmas go? Well, there was this kid, and then some guy tried to murder him. And then God fucked a lady. Didn't make a mark, though. And then later on, he'll die.
I see why Santa Claus
became popular.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a horrible origin story.
Not that I'm aware of. Good job, Coke.
By the way, Purim still happens.
That's awesome.
Purim is still the thing. They just give each other presents and shit.
Yeah.
And it's quite explicitly is still about the whole Haman thing. So, I mean, there's even images. Check it out. Purim! They have, weird cookies?
There are worse reasons to eat cookies.
What is this? Hold on, now I gotta share this with you. It's a weird cookie.
What the fuck is that?
Those are weird-looking cookies.
I don't know, man.
All I typed was Purim. And look, they're up here.
Yeah.
What are those doing? Those don't look bad, though. Let's be real.
I'll give it a shot.
I'd eat that. It looks like a flaky, crusty... these ones look better
Yeah, it looks like
than
a
these
mini
ones.
pie, basically.
It might be a mini pie. Should we be Jewish?
What
are those? Those don't have anything to do with it. These aren't in the book.
Remember that time we impaled those guys? Here's a pie. And thus religion was born.
They're called Hamentischen. Hamentischen for every taste.
Okay, see, I would have signed up for this way long ago if I was told there were baked goods involved.
Oh, look at this thing. What was this? Bury Haman's eye in the challah.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. They put Haman's eye in the challah bread? I didn't know that was why challah bread was a thing. Man, the Jew holidays are getting cool. Like, I didn't know that you, like, put an eyeball in there and you're like, find it, kids! And then they dig around for Haman's eyeball.
Maybe
Man,
we should murder
let's-
some people so we could maybe get some holidays going. If we're going to get all these creative baked goods, I think it's worth it.
New holiday for Jake and Hugo. Instead of Purim, let's go cumin. And I know cumin's already a thing. It's a spice that makes things taste like tacos. But you just gotta cum in stuff, okay? As a way of revenge. So if, like, someone stole your pets, come in their car. And then make baked goods and send them to us. Really, most of this is about the anarchy and the baked goods.
So Queen Esther, daughter of Abihail, along with Mordecai the Jew, wrote with full authority to confirm this second letter concerning Purim, and Mordecai sent letters to all the Jews in the 127 provinces of Xerxes' kingdom, words of goodwill and assurance to establish these days of Purim and their designated times.
Goodwill and assurance. So, you want me to put an eyeball in the challah bread?
Yeah.
I tell you what, I promise this is going to work out. This will really catch on.
It will.
Kids are going to be all about digging eyeballs out of delicious breads.
As Mordecai the Jew and Queen Esther had decreed for them, and as they had established for themselves and their descendants in regard to their times of fasting and lamentation.
I thought that said times of fisting and lamentation, which changes the entire meaning of that sentence.
The dynamic of the holiday would have changed drastically.
Fisting and then lamentation.
Kids, dig through this bread. I gotta go fist your father.
Oh.
As is tradition.
Was that the dad? As is tradition, children.
Yes, he's very...
Mother must now fist me.
He's
Enjoy
not-
the challah.
He's not into it, but he's very about tradition, so that's his backstory.
Jesus Christ.
Now I'm just picturing this guy who's very... Like, he doesn't enjoy it, but he feels a very deep connection to his ancestors as
It's
his
like
wife
his
fists
duty.
him. Yeah.
His booty duty.
Esther's decree confirmed these regulations about Purim, and it was written down in the records. That's a good way to end it, and it was written down in the records. Ugh. Then finally we're going to end with the very short Esther chapter 10, the greatness of Mordecai. I'm sure this will be very humble and not boasting at all. King Xerxes imposed tribute throughout the empire to its distant shores and all his acts of power and might, together with a full account of the greatness of Mordecai, whom the king had promoted. Are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Media and Persia? I don't know.
Well, God damn it. If you're going to do that, add those as attachments.
Just like, just in the back.
Just click the paperclip. It's really easy.
Mordecai the Jew was second in rank to King Xerxes, preeminent among the Jews, and held in highest esteem by his many fellow Jews, because he worked for the good of his people and spoke up for the welfare of all the Jews. And by welfare of all the Jews, we got to murder so many people. So that's good.
Yeah. And now we have a holiday where dudes get fisted.
As is tradition.
So, which is... That's accurate. Don't check it.
Anyway, so that's the end of Esther. Finally, that wasn't too bad. We've had worse chapters, but it did drag a little bit in the middle there. I accept this. I accept this as fact. Thanks for sticking in there. Next time, come back, though, because we're going to be hitting on Job, and that's going to be awesome.
We're going to be hitting on them?
You know, words are hard. Anyway.
What should the hashtag be for this episode, by the way? Because we've been doing that, and I think it should be cumin. But it's just spelled come in, if you were wondering. I want you to send me baked goods. I don't care if you come in things, honestly.
Don't give these people your address. You don't know what they're going to send you.
But when you do it, you have to yell, anarchy!
I don't think this holiday is going to catch on. Anyway, thanks everyone. You can always check us out on Twitter at Bible Reloaded.
You can follow Hugo at Hugo Reloaded. You could also subscribe, and you can check back and see if anyone came in a baked good.
You can always donate to our Patreon campaign. We do a once-a-month patron-only hangout. That's lots of fun. It also lets us do stuff like the Quran Reloaded, which if you haven't seen, check that out. We do what we do here, but as you can imagine, we do it to the Quran. 0 death threats so far, so that's nice. 0 for 0.
0 for 0.
I'm actually almost disappointed. I kind of wanted to do a segment of Hugo and Jake read their death threats, but none.
I mean, that would have been all right.
Yeah.
It would have been okay. Well, maybe we can read some hate mail.
Sure. So until next time, I'm Hugo.
And I'm Jake.
And this has been the Bible Reloaded. You have a next week?
Nope.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
If I just do
That's
that.
kind of funny.
What if also this is in there at the end?
And then they're just like
They're
waiting
like,
around
well,
for
what are
us.
they gonna say? Something? Are they really fucking?
Like
doing
usually
it?
this happens pretty organically and quickly, but now I feel
Now
like
I
we're
feel it.
forcing
Now it's just awkward and it's really bad, and it makes us. Frankly, it makes us look bad as people who this is our job.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not like we write this stuff. It's all off the top of the dome. So I mean, like, we get a little bit of a leeway for it.
We tried.
They're still here though. It's good for them.
As is tradition. That'll do.